Thank you so much for being with us today. We all know that with the rising price of scrap metal, we've seen spikes in the theft of metal items, including copper wire, metal irrigation fixtures, and other things. And too often, this has been thought of as a minor crime. It is not a minor crime. It has a major impact on public safety and on the taxpayers of the city. And we are here today to say we've had it. We've had enough of this, and we're going to start adopting new tactics to address this ongoing, continuous problem that this city and cities throughout the country have faced. Very often when wire is stolen, it's assessed as just a theft of the small amount of wire, the few bucks that wire is worth. But what people don't see often enough, what they don't realize often enough, is the impact of that. When our street lights are out for months and months, when they're repeatedly fixed at the costs of tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money because of that theft of a few bucks worth of wire, that has a direct impact on the taxpayers, and it causes our neighborhoods to be darker and more dangerous. It increases the risk of traffic collisions when our street lights are out or when our traffic lights are out. It endangers pedestrians. And in many other ways, these thefts are a direct threat to people's lives. I serve on the board of Metro and Metrolink, and we have even endured thefts of wire that endangers train signals that could cause, a massive catastrophe for a few dollars worth of metal. So we know that there has been a systemic failure to prosecute those who are actually making the theft. So we're today targeting the upstream part of the problem. Those unscrupulous metal recyclers who take advantage of these petty thieves by giving them a place where they can sell their metal. This is in violation of state law. State law already provides a number of different safeguards to ensure that stolen metal is not sold to recyclers. Under the law, the purchaser of copper is supposed to ask for a government-issued photo ID, a second document bearing the seller's address, a photograph or a video of the seller, a clear photograph or video of the material being sold, a thumbprint, and the license number of the seller's vehicle and any other vehicle delivering the metal. But we know that that's not happening. If that were happening, we would be able to prosecute these crimes a lot more. These metal dealers that are evading the state law are a form of organized crime that's causing this crime to continue. And so I'm very pleased to stand here with my colleagues on the City Council and with our City Attorney, who has, in partnership with us, written a letter to the metal dealers in this city, advising them of the requirements of the state law and letting them know that we will prosecute violations of that law. And so we're hoping to change the paradigm, change the way that this crime is thought of, and once and for all, getting at the root of the problem, which is these unscrupulous metal dealers who are violating the law. So with that, I'm very pleased to be able to recognize the City Attorney of Los Angeles, Hydee Feldstein Soto.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Council President Krekorian for his leadership on this issue, and for the council members who are here, Council Member Rodriguez, Council Member Blumenfield, Council Member Hutt, and Council Member Lee. I thank Deputy Chief Hamilton very much for the partnership of the LAPD, and Assistant Director Fabienne Chen for your partnership. Most importantly, I want to recognize the Chief of my Public Rights Branch, Kate Kennelly, who's back there, and the line lawyer who is leading the charge on copper theft, Alex Elrich. It is really their work that is celebrated here today. I'm going to let my colleagues talk about the policy and what a risk it is. I want to talk a little bit about process and procedure, because that's what lawyers do. So the first thing we do is we send out a letter. So it's a warning. It shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody. We try to publicize the effort so that these metal resellers are aware that my office is taking this seriously, and that if they haven't been in compliance, they should be. The system is self-reporting. They're supposed to be keeping the logs that Council President described with all of the relevant information. They're supposed to keep it for 2 years, and they're not supposed to make payment on a purchase of copper for 3 days after they initiated the record. At that point, they can pay the seller and move on. However, if you think about it, it's really pretty clear when copper comes in that it's been used and ripped from a streetlight. It's not shiny new wire. It should be apparent to the reseller. And so with that level of intent, it's fairly easy to show the misdemeanor. I think at the beginning, following the letters, we will selectively target, and for a first demeanor, the penalty, and the statute is not mild. It doesn't say up to 30 days in jail or up to $1,000. It says at least. So the state legislature meant the penalty when they issued it, and it can be quite severe even for a first-time offender. If you treat the record for a repeat offender or someone who's particularly bad in the area, if you treat each violation as a separate misdemeanor, and you separately charge and separately prove each, in a criminal prosecution, it can add up. What we are focused on right now out of our public rights branch is not getting to the criminal prosecution yet, but ensuring compliance and getting injunctions. Metal recyclers have these requirements, and with that stringent record keeping, we are really hoping to shut down the market and dissuade folks from actually buying the copper that comes in. We've sent out 661 letters, and stay tuned. We hope to take enforcement action soon. Thank you so much. Oh, one thing. If you'd like to report copper theft, including the buying and selling of stolen copper, please email my office at consumermail@lacity.org. So consumermail@lacity.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam City Attorney. Next, because of the extraordinary impact that this crime has on the taxpayers of Los Angeles and our city's budget, I'm very pleased to introduce the chair of our Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee, Councilmember Bob Blumenfield.
Thank you, Council President, City Attorney. Everyone here is really dug in on trying to prevent this crime from happening. This is something I've been working on for a number of years. I've put forward multiple motions. You have the situation where it may be a criminal misdemeanor level value to the criminal, but they're causing felony level damages to our city. They may make $100 or something to strip a streetlight, but they're costing us thousands, tens of thousands, and if you go across the city, millions of dollars. This is something that we need to deter in several ways, and we need to. One of which is by prosecuting. The other is by trying to harden the target. We've done that in a number of ways. In this year's budget alone, we added an additional $7 million just to deal with this issue, just to harden those targets, just to weld different boxes shut. We have a situation. This city was not designed to prevent copper wire theft. When this city was designed, it was designed to spread lights and electricity as far and wide and as efficiently as possible. So now we have to go back and retrofit. How do we go back and how do we solve for this? And that's expensive. But one of the ways to do it that's less expensive is deterrence. And that's with police action, that's with prosecution action, and everything else. So we need to take it on all sides of this. Another aspect of this is when copper wire theft happens on our streets, it doesn't just make us a darker and more unsafe area, and it does those things. It also makes us a little less intelligent. What do I mean by that? I am trying to make the city into a smart city. And you go out and you look at a lot of our light posts, and they have not just light anymore, but they have sensors on them. They have boxes that connect our internet. They have all of these things that are contributing to us being a smarter city, more connected city, which is ultimately the way that we are moving. But when you pull the power away from these sensors, you basically you affect the synapses of our city's brain, which are laying in those street poles. So we need to do everything we can to prevent this, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you here with this next effort on deterrence and this effort to prosecute. So thank you, everyone, for being part of this, and we can and we will prevent copper wire theft.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm pleased to introduce the chair of our Public Safety Committee, who's been so involved in trying to develop the solutions to this for a very long time, Councilmember Monica Rodriguez. Councilmember.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Krekorian. As been mentioned, this is not a victimless crime. Copper wire theft has contributed to an uptick in public safety concerns in many neighborhoods. One simple copper wire theft can take out an entire grid of streetlights in a neighborhood, and this is something that the Northeast San Fernando Valley and many parts of the city have experienced over the course of many, many years. From my tenure on the Board of Public Works, working with our Bureau of Street Lighting, and they do their absolute best to try and restore lights that has been to the detriment and frustration of many residents across the city. And you've heard about the impacts financially to our bottom line in this city. The more we have to harden these locations and restore power and infrastructure, the less streets we're able to pave, the less, the more we take away from other absolute necessities in our city. And so I'm really grateful that collectively we are throwing everything at this, and I want to thank the city attorney for pursuing these criminals. But I also want to make a call to the public, because so often this is happening in broad daylight. The copper wire thefts have occurred with individuals that are often plain clothes, just wearing a worker's vest in an unmarked vehicle. And I want to remind the public that they too can remain vigilant in helping us do the preventative work that is so necessary, that will help us get ahead of the number of calls and restoration work that we have to pursue in this city. So if you see individuals at an intersection working on a street light in an unmarked vehicle, many times it's a truck, doesn't have a city seal, they're wearing clothing that does not have city seals on it, call LAPD, call your local station. It doesn't have to be a 911 call, but it can certainly be a non-emergency call, but just calling the division directly, and report these incidents as you see them. Because so often it really requires a partnership with our communities to help ensure that we are getting ahead of these criminals and making sure that we are reporting these incidents. And we have, in fact, in my district, we were successful when a resident called in Shadow Hills on an individual that were engaged in copper wire theft. We were able to apprehend those suspects and prosecute accordingly. And so want to invite the public to be part of the solution, to report these incidents as you see them, when you see these activities. And if you see something that looks suspicious, report it. That is the easiest way for us to get ahead of this. And so I want to thank all my colleagues for all of us remaining vigilant and pursuing these incidents as we see them, but also to our city attorney for pursuing these individuals and making sure that we are doing everything in our power to prevent this from continuing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm pleased to introduce the chair of our Public Works Committee that oversees so many of the bureaus that are directly impacted when the city is victimized by this crime, Councilmember John Lee.
President Krekorian, as the chair of Public Works and as the council member of the district that has been hit the hardest with this copper wiring theft, I can tell you the frustration of many of our constituents. What used to take maybe a few weeks to fix now is taking 7, 8, 9 months, and that obviously is unacceptable for the many reasons that have been stated before me. Often, when we talk about enforcement, we tend to put a lot of our city's issues on the backs of our LAPD, and we just need to make sure that they have the tools. I know we've had a metal theft task force in the past. I don't think we have that going on. That is a task force that saved the city millions of dollars, but pursued these type of things. And so I'm hoping that as a council, we can make sure that our LAPD has the proper resources to make sure that we are doing this, we are checking up on them, because we have to be doing things maybe outside the normal box of just trying to find where they're doing this and then to attack that problem. As the chair of public safety, we've installed, as Councilmember, I believe Rodriguez mentioned, and Councilmember Blumenfield, hardening of our targets. And while this has made definite impact, we can see that the crews are moving away from these areas where we've hardened this impact, it still remains a pervasive issue in our city and something that we obviously need to pay attention to. This is a safety issue, and I'm really appreciative to the city attorney and our President Krekorian and my colleagues that understand why this is such an important issue and why we need to work on moving on this. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I'm also proud that we have with us today the chair of our Transportation Committee, Councilmember Heather Hutt. Obviously, our transportation system is directly impacted by this as well, with streetlight outages and so on, and Councilmember Hutt knows very well the impacts of this. To speak a little bit about the specifics of how this crime impacts street lighting specifically, I want to bring up Senior Engineer Fabian Cheng, who will talk a little bit about what this means to the city when we have these thefts.
Thank you. Good morning, Council President. I do want to thank the City Council, City Attorney, and also the LAPD here present, who have worked hand in hand with our Bureau to be able to reduce this epidemic of copper wire theft. I work in the Bureau of Street Lighting. I've been there for over 20 years, and I have seen a rise in these incidents of copper wire theft throughout the city, which affect not only the illumination in the city, but also affects the sense of safety in the communities and the neighborhoods that we provide this service. Over the last few years, we've been enhancing or fortifying all the street lighting systems thanks to the additional allocation of funding from the City Council to be able to resolve these issues. To my left, you see a couple of examples of copper wire theft that have been affected through vandalism in different areas of the city. So, we have crews working day in and day out to be able to restore the lighting and the illumination, but also to fortify the systems, entire circuits welded, cemented over to prevent or to deter the copper wire theft throughout the city. I do want to say that, the Bureau of Street Lighting, and adequate illumination is an essential service that the city provides to all its residents, to the businesses, and also to the visitors that come to Los Angeles. So it is important for us to maintain this system, to make it strong and resilient for the future, not only, for all of us here, but also for future events that may come for the city. We have the Olympics coming up in a few years. We have, high-profile, conferences that, people visit us, and we do want to make sure that we are providing that illumination, that sense of security, that inviting environment at night for everybody that visits LA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cheng. So as we close, I just want to, I think, on behalf of all of us, let the unscrupulous metal recycling businesses of this city know that if you buy stolen metal illegally, we are coming after you. So if you don't care about the impact that you're having on the safety of people in their neighborhoods, if you don't care about the impact that you're having of the safety of people on our streets, maybe you'll care when you're facing imprisonment for buying metal illegally, because we are not going to tolerate this crime anymore. So with that, thank you very much. If there's any questions, we also have Deputy Chief Hamilton from the Los Angeles Police Department here as well.
Are we looking at an organized crime ring that does this, or is this just individuals you're seeing?
So there are enormous numbers of individuals who are, destitute, who are stealing metal, and that's happening every place by probably hundreds of people around who are stealing the metal. But they wouldn't be stealing the metal if they didn't have a place to sell that metal. And so while there's a lot of challenges in trying to enforce the individual theft of an individual piece of wire or a sprinkler system or whatever, it's if we're targeting our resources on where that metal is being sold by those people, we're moving upstream and targeting the real source of the problem, which is the market. If we can disincentivize a marketplace for this metal, we will disincentivize the thefts.
On the receiving level, how many bad actors are we talking about? Are we talking about numerous or just a few that you know of?
I don't think we have any way of knowing that yet.
We have sent out 661 letters.
Does that mean there were 661 level 5?
You understand?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that all
So.
within the city of Los Angeles, or are
Yes.
we talking county?
Right. So the point is to put them on notice. Now, we'll give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're not aware of the requirements of state law. Now they are. Now they are on notice. This is what the law that you must follow, and if you do not follow, you face prosecution.
So this is a state law, so they could go to any other city around and sell it would be the same.
It would be this exact same law would apply. That's right.